Hello, 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 and welcome. All right, folks, I'm going to get started in just a little bit, pulling up some slides and letting a few folks join the live. So welcome anyone who is joining for today's presentation on Ikigai. Hello, I see some folks are already joining. I'm really excited to have this conversation today and present some information about how you can find and pursue your creative path. It's something that I'm really passionate about, so I'm super excited. So I see a few folks are joining the live now. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and folks who join in, they can get in on this information as they join. So welcome everybody who's here. My name is Brandi Keeler. I'm Assistant Director of Admissions at the College for Creative Studies, and I am beyond excited to talk to you today about the concept of Ikigai. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I've been mentoring and coaching and counseling adults and students for over a decade now on how to find their purpose and pursue that. And specifically, I've been working at CCS for a little over 3 years now, helping creative people figure out what their specific path is and how to pursue that through college or otherwise. I have some students who, don't come to CCS, but they're still pursuing their creative path. So I want to talk to you today about opportunities to do that. So whether you're a high school student or just, an adult in their career looking for a change, hopefully this presentation will give you some helpful insights. So before I start talking about the concept of Ikigai, I want to really paint a picture of why it's important to learn about this concept, especially if you are looking to attend college. So Ikigai is really important, firstly, because your career, right, something you pursue, is about 80,000 hours of your life. I don't know if you all have heard this theory, but on average, a person's career takes about 80,000 hours of their life. That's 3,333 days of your life. That's a lot of time invested in something that you have to do pretty much every weekday, right? And so you want to make sure that what you're stepping into, not just from a college perspective, but for those 80,000 hours, is something that you actually love and want to do, right? Or else you'll be changing your mind every 10 seconds. Ikigai is really helpful. This principle of Ikigai is really helpful because it helps you in the process of choosing a college major, which is really important because I don't know if you all know this, but about 80% of students in college change their major at least once within the first 3 years, right? So you think about being 17 or 18 or 20 years old even, and trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Let me pick a major based on, just some hunches or assumptions, and then going to college and then figuring out, oh, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. This is not what I want. That can end up costing you more time in college and can end up costing you more money, depending on the school that you go to. Changing your major can add, additional time, and then loans. We don't want that, right? We want to avoid changing your mind a ton of times in college. So figuring out your Ikigai, this principle actually helps to make sure you have clarity and focus and confidence about the choice that you're making as it pertains to pursuing a path in college. But overall, even if you're an adult, the principle of Ikigai is super helpful. Because it helps you to figure out how to live your life purposefully, right? None of you who are watching this, whether it's live or the recording, none of you were put on this earth to be average, to just get by. You are here to thrive and really do something unique that only you can do with your time here in this life. And so Ikigai is really a great way of figuring out what that thing is for you. So let's get into it. What is an Ikigai? All right, so Ikigai, if you've never heard the term before, don't feel strange because it's a Japanese term, but it just simply means a reason for being. It's the thing that you wake up to do every day in life. It's your purpose in life, right? It's what you're put here to do with your time. For some people, this is their career. For some people, it's their vocation. For some people, it's their volunteer work. But it's a really unique intersection of 4 unique questions. So Ikigai lies at the center of these 4 things, right? What do I love to do? What do I feel the world needs? What can I get paid to do? And what am I good at, right? If you figure out an answer to all 4 of those questions simultaneously, that's an Ikigai. That's your purpose, right? And it's important to make sure that you're answering all 4 of those questions and not just a couple of them for some distinct reasons, right? For example, if you are doing something that you feel the world needs and you love, but you aren't getting paid to do that thing, one, you're going to be broke. You won't be able to pay your bills, right? And it'll be nice. It'll be a valiant effort, but you'll have to do something to substitute for that, right? You'll have to figure out a job or a career path that you may not love or that may not contribute to the world. And it may take time away from your ability to do what you feel the world needs, right? Or I know a lot of students, they're always focused on like, I want to get paid. I want to make sure I'm paid. You can find something that you're good at and get paid to do that. But if you don't feel that it's what the world needs, you're going to be spending 80,000 hours of your life in a career that leaves you feeling maybe empty or unfulfilled, right? And so you want to make sure you're looking at these four intersections so that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis in your career is something that matters to you, is something that energizes you, is something that shows the world what you have to offer, but it also, in exchange for what you have to offer, compensates you with money, right? So you can live. So this is what Ikigai is all about. So let's talk about how you can figure out what your Ikigai is. How can you answer these four questions? I'm going to give you all some different tips and exercises to figure out what your Ikigai is. Starting out with the question, what do I love? So how do you figure out what do you love? Oh, thanks for the heart. I love you too. So the first thing you can ask yourself is, okay, what are my hobbies and interests? What am I doing when, no one's telling me what to do? And what do I spend most of my spare time on, right? That's a pretty easy way of figuring out what you love. Another way of figuring out what you love, it may not be something that you're currently doing today, but it may be something that, you had a over time interest in, and then you may have diverted because of, priorities for school or work or family, whatever. And so revisit your childhood. I always talk on my lives about getting in an imaginary time machine, jump in the imaginary time machine and go back to, your 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 6-year-old self. And start to ask, okay, what was it that I really loved doing? What was I passionate about? What did I say I wanted to be when I grow up, right? And if you don't remember at all, ask your parents or someone in your family, like, what was I always interested in? What was I always saying I wanted to be when I grow up? Even if it's something that you won't be now, right? Say you want to be a ballerina and you're like, I don't have a dancer's body. Maybe there's something unique about movement, about expressing yourself that is something that you love to do. So think about, what is it that I was interested in as a child? Self-motivation is always a great way of figuring out what you love to do. Ask yourself, what is it that I would do for free if I was not, obviously we're going to tie back in getting paid for it. But at this point, just answering what do I love, ask yourself, what would I do for free? I know for me, prior to working in admissions, prior to coaching and starting my own business, I was always finding ways to mentor young people. I would come back for free and speak to the freshman class at CCS at orientation. I had several students who I would mentor at camp. I would go and visit my old high school and mentor people. Even when I was as a young kid, I would always be hanging out with kids a few grades younger because I was just passionate about helping young people, right? That's a way of knowing, like, okay, if I would do this for free, why don't I figure out how to do this for the rest of my life, right? Because it's something I clearly enjoy. So ask yourself, what am I self-motivated to do? And then if none of these tips are helpful, I have an exercise that you can do. And I call this a love audit. And it's a way of figuring out what you love if you have a lot of different things that you like, okay? So we're going to work to find some themes. So I'm going to give you some, hope you're taking notes here. Give you some things to ask yourself. First, write down your most common Google searches and YouTube video searches. What are the types of content that you're consuming? Are you consistently watching comedy? Are you watching people create? Are you watching vloggers? Write down the types of video and Google searches that you're consistently doing. Just all of them, right? Not filtering at this point. Next, I want you to make a list of influential people that you follow on social media that inspire you. People whose pages you consistently go back to look for content or ideas or inspiration. Write a list of maybe the top 5 Instagram handles that you're consistently going to visit, right? Thirdly, you're going to look at all the books you own. All the books you own. And just start writing. If you have like hundreds of books, obviously you're not going to write all of those down, but maybe your top 10 favorite books of all the books you own, if that's the case. But make a list of all the books that you own. Next, you're going to look at people whose work you admire. Even if you do nothing related to that, you're going to look at people whose work you admire. So this can be celebrities, this can be role models, people who are living or gone, right? Do you look up to Gandhi? Do you look up to Oprah? Do you look up to, Salvador Dali? Make a list of people who you are just blown away by their life and what they've done with their lives. Once you've gotten a list of all those things, you're going to take a little highlighter or a pencil and you're going to go for each of those answers and circle things that are related. You're going to see if there are any themes that emerge, right? Is there a theme of people expressing themselves? Is there a theme of people making things? Is there a theme of people helping those in need? You're going to go through and see what are some things that are being pulled out of all the things that you love. And that can be a helpful tip of figuring out what you love. So that's question number 1. What do I love? Now let's look at number 2. What am I good at? So an obvious way of figuring out what you're good at are looking at your natural skills and talents, right? Do you have any natural abilities that even without trying hard, you're really, really good at something? Maybe you're just naturally athletic. Maybe you're just naturally creative. You come up with creative ideas and you draw all the time without even having taken a class. If you're a high school student or a college student, one way of knowing what you're good at is looking at the things you get good grades on, right? If you're an all-A student, that may be a little more difficult, but if you're somebody who, varies in between, but you see a clear trend, like I always get A's in English, or I'm always acing my science classes, that is a good indicator that you're good at that thing. Another way of knowing what you're good at is seeing what people are consistently asking you to do. Are there favors that people consistently ask you to do, right? Or is there praise and compliments that you consistently get? I know a lot of my creative students, whether they realize it or not, I know that they're creative because they're always having their teachers ask them to make the class t-shirt. If they're in first robotics, they're the one who's being asked to make the logo. They're always being asked to make a costume for their friends for Halloween. They're just always being asked to create something, right? And they're always getting compliments on the things that they do create. But that may not be the case for you. Whether you're creative or not, just ask yourself, what am I consistently getting asked to do? And what are people complimenting me on? Obviously, looking at your achievements and recognition are a good way of knowing what you're good at too. I have some students, it's mind-blowing to me, who receive Scholastics awards and all kinds of art awards, and they're like, oh, I didn't think I was good enough. I don't know. I'm like, clearly you're good at creativity because you're being awarded for it, right? So if you're in a national, honor society for a particular subject, or, you have trophies on your shelf at home because of a particular thing, that's an indicator that you're good at something. But also, it's important to know that younger people, right, you folks who may be in high school or transitioning out of high school, not had a ton of time on the planet to do a lot of things to figure out what you're good at. So if you feel like none of these things are helpful, one thing to think about is, what do you want to become good at, right? There's still time to develop skills and talents, even if they're not innate or natural. So you can simply ask yourself, what is something that I wish I could do? What is something that I wish I was better at? Because college obviously is one way of growing skills so that you can become good at something. No one's born good at all the things that they're going to do for the rest of their life. So if there's something that you've always wanted to learn, or things you're always looking at tutorials about, things you're trying to always go about growing on your own, those are indicators of things that even if you're not great at them now, you may be good at them, right? You have a growth interest or factor for those things. All right, next, very, very important. To me, this is the most important one, and I think it's the one that most people forget to consider. A lot of people think about, okay, yeah, I'm good at this, I love doing this, and I know I can get a job doing this, so this is what I'm going to do. And they don't ask themselves, what do I feel actually matters in life, right? You want to think about what the world needs so that your work is purposeful, so that it's contributing to making this world a better place in a way that only you can. So the first way of figuring out what you feel the world needs is to do the 3 things challenge. 3 things I could change, right? So you're going to ask yourself, if I could change any 3 things about the world or society, what would they be? And it doesn't have to be, ending world hunger. It can be, but that doesn't have to be it, right? It could be, I wish everyone felt they were beautiful. I wish handshakes were replaced by hugs, not in COVID times, but in general, right? Just ask yourself, what are 3 things you would change in the world? I know for me, one of the big ones is, I wish everybody knew that they were here for a special reason and they knew exactly what that was. That's one thing I wish I could change in the world. And I'm doing it in my small way, but that's something I'm really passionate about, is people knowing that they have a purpose. So what are 3 things you would change in the world? The second thing that you can ask yourself to figure out what you feel the world needs is, what social causes are you really riled up about, right? What are things that you're really passionate about? Do you care about Black Lives Matter? Do you care about LGBTQIA rights or women's rights? Are you a feminist? Are there social causes and social issues that really get you passionate? Those are indicators of things you really care about and ways that you can make an indent on the world, right? By addressing those needs. Also, you can ask yourself, if you volunteered for anything, are there any trends for the types of things you volunteer for? Again, I was always volunteering to work with youth. I didn't even realize it until I was, in my 20s, which is why I'm doing this now. I don't want you to wait that long. But, are there things that you're consistently volunteering to do? I know a lot of high school students have a requirement for volunteer hours, right? You get to choose. Some schools let you choose the types of things that you're volunteering for. Are you consistently trying to volunteer with animals? That may be an indicator of something, right? So ask yourself, where am I consistently trying to give back? Another great way of figuring out what the world needs is really looking at your own personal journey and your own personal adversity. Is there something that you have struggled with deeply in your life? Something that has come across in your story that you don't want anyone else to have to experience, right? Maybe a prejudice that you don't want anyone else to feel, or an emotion that you want to, banish for others. Or conversely, if someone has helped you through personal adversity, a mentor or someone with their words or their story has helped to pull you out of adversity, is there a way that you would want to help others similarly, right? So I know in my life, I had several different art teachers, creative mentors. One of my biggest mentors and role models is my admissions counselor from college, Sabrina Nelson. Looking at people who have paved the way for you and have helped you may give you an idea of like, okay, well, that really meant something to me and that was special to me. I really feel the world needs more of that, right? And that's a way that you can start to answer this question about your Ikigai, right? So on to the last question. What can I get paid to do? This is a huge question. And actually, for any of you watching who are creatively interested, I have creative interest. I have a suggestion for reframing this question because a lot of people assume the answer to what can I get paid to do. And if it's art or design, they're like, well, I can't get paid to do that, so I got to figure out something else, right? And that's not the truth. For artists and designers, I challenge you to reframe this question into how can I get paid to do this? How can I get paid to play video games all day? Trust me, there is a creative path for that. How can I get paid to play on social media all day? How can I get paid to paint all the time? There are ways to do those things and more, right? I want to emphasize this, and I know this is a general presentation for folks regardless of your interest, but I want to hammer home a few points for my creative folks. We need to bust this myth of the starving artist. It's a myth that's endangering a lot of people's creative potentials and their ikigais. I don't know if you know this, but in the U.S. alone, there are nearly 700,000 people, 700,000 businesses responsible for the creation and distribution of art, design, etc. And they employ millions of people, right? Millions of people. In fact, there are over 2 million artists and designers actively working in the U.S. According to the National Endowment for the Arts, the art and design industry employs more than the performing arts and the sports industries combined. So if you think about all the actors, all the singers, all the dancers, all the people playing sports, there's less people working in those industries than artists and designers, right? Artists and designers actually contribute more than $760 billion to the U.S. economy, right? And it makes sense. If you haven't thought about it, think about this. Everything that we wear, accessories, clothes, shoes, product designer or fashion accessories designer, fashion designer, everything that we consume, right? Whether it's the packaging on food products, whether it's the products that we use on a day-to-day basis, toys, hair goods, all the packaging, designers design the packaging, right? All the content that we consume, whether it's the user interface on an app like this that allows us to have this type of interaction, to web design that we use, TV shows that we watch. People are writing, directing, producing, lighting, editing, etc., right? The commercials in between everything that we watch, advertising designers work on. Every vehicle, just go, if you have access to look at a highway somewhere, go look at the highway. Every vehicle that you see on the road is something that's designed by a transportation designer. And I'm not just talking about the cars. I'm talking about the garbage truck, the bulldozer, the motorcycle, the bikes. Look in the sky, the helicopters, the planes, look in the water, the boats, the yachts. All of those are designed by people who have passed in art and design, right? Artists and designers touch every facet of culture, okay? So look at something, and if you're creatively interested, ask who created this, right? It's probably someone with a degree in art and design. So there are careers and jobs that allow you to get paid as an artist and designer. You just may have to do a little bit of legwork to figure out what those are. So figuring out what careers exist out there, what can I get paid to do? One way of easily doing that is just looking at different organizations or organizations or companies' career or job pages, right? On their website, on LinkedIn.com or Glassdoor.com. Just looking at jobs, typing in words like art, create, write, or whatever your interest is, and seeing what types of jobs pop up. You can start to get a wide net of different types of jobs. But one thing that's really, really helpful is learning about different job titles for specific areas of interest. So say, for example, you're someone who's really passionate about ceramics. You're like, I love my ceramics class in high school. I'm really good at my ceramics class in high school. But I don't know if I can get paid to do that. What you can do is simply look up the word crafts and jobs and look up the different jobs that exist, right? Or an even easier test, so you don't have to spend a ton of time on Google, is talk to colleges that offer a degree path in an area that you may be interested in. One thing to think about this is, while Google has a lot of information, can be overwhelming to look at, colleges have, I know for example CCS, hundreds of years of alumni working in career paths from specific majors. So they have a wide and vast understanding of the various careers that can come from a specific path, right? And then obviously once you know the different careers that are out there, the different jobs that are out there, you can start to look at, okay, what do people get paid to do that? If you're looking for a specific salary range, you can even find that out, right? This is important, again, to emphasize that there are ways to get paid to do pretty much anything on this planet. And I'll come back to an example later, but people get paid to name nail polish, you guys. You can get paid to do a lot of things, all right? So yeah, I want to make sure you understand that. So let's talk about how to pursue your Ikigai. Say you've taken all this advice, you went and answered these 4 different questions, you did your love audit, and you have some answers written down. Now you're asking, okay, what do I do with this information? I have an idea of some overlaps, but I don't know. So here are some tips on how to pursue your Ikigai. First, and this is a little shameless plug, talk to a college rep of a college that has that area of focus. Like I said, hundreds of years of alumni, hundreds of years of people working in various industries. They can give you some very clear examples of how the various things that you're interested in overlap, right? They may have anecdotes of people who love the same things that you love, have passions for the same things that you care about, that you feel the world needs, and clearly have the talents that you have, and just tell you these are the different ways people get paid to do that thing. It's a really clear, easy way of doing that. If there's something that inspires you creatively, and you're nervous about, if there are ways to do this, this seems really redundant and silly, but you can add the different terms from your Ikigai to a Google search just to see what happens. Now hear me out. I want to give you an example from a real life session. So, and I mentioned this earlier. So say for example, someone's Ikigai, they say they love nails. I love getting my nails done. I love doing my nails. I love looking at nail art. I love nails. And I also love social media. I'm always on social media. I love posting on Instagram and Snapchat. That's what I love to do. Right? Cool. Say they're really, really good at writing. That's one of their talents. They always get A's in their English classes. On the SAT, that's the area that they did the best at, right? And they're good at making things coordinate. People are always complimenting them on their outfit, on their fashion, on their style. They just have a natural ability to make things look good together. Okay? And they feel the world needs more beauty. They have the answer to that. Now again, for creative people, I tell you to flip that last question. How can I get paid to do this? Just type in the word job. That's the answer to that question. So if, for the example of the student that I'm speaking about, if that person typed in nail polish, writing, job, and beauty into Google, or if they even got specific and asked, who names nail polish? What is that? They'll discover, Google will let you know, that that's the job of a brand manager or possibly a copywriter, and specifically a brand manager or copywriter who works in a cosmetics company, right? If you then Google brand manager, average salary, you'll find that a brand manager on average earns over $79,000 a year. to name nail polish, yes, and to be on social media, right, to curate social media feeds, and to test makeup products, and to also do things like determine what packaging works best for different products, what products should or should not launch, the design of different products. They approve these things. Brand managers, they have a lot of different roles. Or copywriters, they're writing not only the names of nail polish, but also, quirky ideas for promoting a product, right? In advertising, on social media. That's a way of combining something that person loves, that they're good at, that they feel the world needs, and getting paid over $79,000 a year to do, right? And that's just from a Google search. That's one potential option for that person, right? So take the terms of your Ikigai and throw them in Google and see what happens. Obviously, I mentioned this a lot in here. Look at mentors or role models. Looking for a mentor that you can actually have a relationship with is a great way of starting to pursue a potential Ikigai, right? If you find some themes in that exercise and you're like, okay, but I don't know what it looks like to do this thing. Again, you can talk to colleges and ask to be connected with an alumni. I know I do a ton of alumni interviews here. If someone has something that they've done on their Ikigai and they want me to connect them to an alumni that does that, please DM me and let me know. There are ways that you can get connected to people who are in the industry you're interested in, who can illuminate for you the different ways to pursue your Ikigai, right? For example, I have a ton of students I work with who are interested in characters, or they love animation in general. And their assumption is that, okay, I can either be a character artist or animator. They don't think about the background painters, the environment artists. They don't think about the people who are doing the coloring. There's like a whole slew of different career paths for people who love to draw and who want to work in the animated industry. And being connected to a mentor can really give you some specifics about what that looks like. Okay. And then obviously, going to college helps you to pursue Ikigai if you haven't already gotten a degree. And specifically, if you find that your Ikigai is related to creativity, obviously CCS is an opportunity here where you can get more information, even if you decide not to apply, just to get more information about that path. We're here to help you. But specifically, if you're interested in applying as a concrete way of pursuing your Ikigai, we're here for you too, for that. Okay. And then the last way is getting hands-on. This is very important. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about 80% of students changing their major because they've never tried it. They assume, yes, I want to be a nurse. I love helping people. I like the idea of being a nurse. I like nursing shows. Maybe I'll be a nurse. And they get into the classes required for nursing and they're like, this is hard, or this isn't what I expected, or I didn't know that I needed to work this hard or long to do what I want to do. Getting hands-on, getting experience in something that you're interested in early helps you to start to get an answer of if this is really your Ikigai. And I want to actually use a personal example. In high school, I knew that I wanted to be creative and help people. I didn't know where those things intersected. I did not have Ikigai in high school. And so I was looking at opportunities to get hands-on with being creative so I could learn more about it. And I did the pre-college summer experience at CCS. That's a great way if you're interested in art or design of getting hands-on. It's a summer experience where, 3 weeks during the summer you get to live on campus and you get to actually take classes with professors in a specific focus area. And this summer we're doing it online, obviously because of the pandemic, but again, you're getting hands-on and getting experience in a field that you're interested in early. I know for me, I did the pre-college program for transportation design. Amazing program. I made so many friends that I'm still connected with today. I confirmed that I love creativity. I love the design process. I love presenting. There are a lot of things I learned in that program. One thing that I did learn, though, is that I did not like drawing cars. And if I had to spend 80,000 hours of my life drawing cars, I would have poked my eyes out. That was not what I wanted to do, right? Getting hands-on gave me confirmation for that, right? Because I would have chosen the wrong major had I done that. And so getting hands-on through a pre-college program, through shadowing opportunities, through volunteering, any way that you can really get close to the thing you're interested in is a great way of confirming that that's the thing that you need and want to pursue, okay? So let's talk about examples of what this looks like, right? Because it sounds really cool in theory, but does it actually work? I'm going to actually show you 3 different CCS alumni who are actively pursuing their Ikigai. And I'm going to give you an example of what their Ikigai could look like based on what they're doing in their career and what they've actually told us about what they love to do. So this first example is Todd Smith. He's a graphic design graduate from the year 2000 at CCS. I'm going to read to you a quote from his website. So he says, for as long as I can remember, there have been two constants in my life, art and sport. In school, I was constantly yelled at for drawing too much in class, and regardless of the weather, I was always outside kicking, throwing, or chasing a ball around. Eventually, I realized my passions could become a career, and that Nike could be a perfect destination for me to pursue both of them at the same time. So after graduating from CCS, I moved to Oregon and made my goal a reality. Simple as that, really. 19 plus years later, I'm still here chasing after my original childhood passions, day in and day out. Lucky me. Right? So he loved soccer and art. He knew that. He was really good at innovating and creating, right? Design. He felt that the world, if you look at his website, you'll learn, he feels that the world is really in need of creative leadership. And he's paid as the senior creative director at Nike. So this is him in the little bomb in color as a kid. Again, go back in that imaginary time machine. Look at what you were interested in childhood. He loved soccer, right? And you may think soccer is unrelated to art, but again, Ikigai helps you to find the overlaps. So at Nike, these are the types of things that he gets to design in his career. He's using his graphic design knowledge and managing and leading teams of creative to put out really beautifully designed soccer products for Nike. He also gets to coach and obviously has access to their amazing soccer field and equipment because he designs it. You know, he's responsible for the design of these objects. So he can combine some seemingly unrelated things into his Ikigai. All right, let's talk about Wendy Froud. She is one of our historic alums. She graduated from our crafts department in 1976. So she loved as a kid, and I read our alumni's interviews all the time because I think they're so interesting. As a kid, she really loved fantasy stories. Her favorite books were fairy tales. And she literally thought fairies were real. Like that was something that she just believed in. She just loves fairies. And she felt like this harshness of the world was really in need of fantasy and imagination, of a way to escape to a beautiful place. She was really good at actually making 3D art and making things with her hands. She actually made her first doll at 6 years old. That's somebody who really likes making things, right? Because me, I would have cried and said, buy me a doll. She made her own doll at 6 years old. And so she figured out that she could get paid as a puppet maker and doll artist specifically focused on fairy tale creations. She's actually a world famous doll artist and puppet designer, puppet sculptor. And this is what she does for a living. Her company, World of Froud, she runs with her husband, who happens to also be an artist. And he draws fairies all the time. She's just in fairy heaven. That's what she does every day. She loves it, right? And she does get paid. I want to emphasize this again. This is not something that she's doing as a hobby on the side. She actually lives in a castle in England. That's how wealthy she is. Namely because of some of the movies that she created puppets for. She actually created beautiful puppets for movies like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. She actually fabricated, we joke and call her the mother of Yoda. She fabricated Yoda for The Empire Strikes Back. So this iconic character, she didn't know it would be iconic when she was sculpting it. She, worked on modeling this character that we all are now familiar with and is a part of our everyday lexicon, right? Everybody's talking about Baby Yoda. Well, you should thank Wendy Froud, right? She's doing what she loves for a living. She's immersed in this world and she's getting paid to do that and making a difference in only the way that she can, because this is her unique creativity. The very last example that I will show you, I love her story, is Veronica Scott. She's a product design graduate from CCS, graduate same year, 2011. And she, at CCS, had an assignment I believe it was sophomore, junior year, where she found the answer to what she wanted to address as far as the world needs. The assignment was to design for a social cause, and she decided to tackle the issue of homelessness. So what she did was design, and as you can see in her Ikigai here, a lot of creative problem solving, good at industrial design. But she gets paid for her own company because of this assignment she had. So she designed this coat here. It's a coat that traps in heat for people who are experiencing homelessness. But one thing that she found that the world needs that was specific, besides ending the cycle of homelessness, was that people who are experiencing homelessness wanted to maintain a sense of dignity and independence. In her research on this project, she found that there were people who were building their own tents out of whatever they could find 20 feet away from a homeless shelter where they could live for free. She found that to be a unique need. Why would they do that if they can live in the shelter? It was because they wanted to have their own independence. And so she designed a coat to solve that problem while she was a student at CCS, and it transforms from this winter coat into a sleeping bag and also a carrying bag when it's not being worn in the winter. And she prototyped and took this coat to shelters across the city of Detroit, getting feedback. And most of it was positive. But in one particular instance, there was feedback that, hey, coats don't solve homelessness. What I need is a job, which is a legitimate thing for someone experiencing homelessness to say. And she took that feedback back to the drawing board and actually designed a business model where she could hire people who are experiencing homelessness. She primarily focuses on people with families who are experiencing homelessness and teach them the skill of fabrication. She teaches them how to sew and create these coats. So I want to emphasize where it said what she's good at did not say seamstress. And she said in several interviews when she first started out, she was not good at sewing, right? But she was good at design, at problem solving, creative problem solving. It's something she had a knack for. And so with her industrial design skills, she designed this business. She pitched it at Industry Day at CCS, and it was really well received. She actually found a company, Carhartt, that was able to sponsor her with some material to get her company up and running. And since starting that company, her time at CCS, she started, and she's an entrepreneur, right? She's not only employing several different people who are experiencing homelessness, but she herself is getting paid to do something that's making a difference in the world using her design skills, right? She's been the youngest person to win a JFK New Frontier Award for this company that she started, for this design that she's created, right? She's making a difference, doing something that she loves, something that she feels the world needs, and she's getting paid to do it. She's doing very well in her company. And if you haven't heard of the Empowerment Plan, please Google them. It's a very inspiring story, and there's so many inspiring stories of the people who worked with her at her company who've come into success just because of her pursuing her Ikigai, right? So these are the types of things that are possible for people who ask themselves, what do I love to do? What am I good at? What do I feel the world needs, right? How I can get paid to do that, obviously. But asking yourself those 4 important questions and really doing the work to pursue that, right? I just want to emphasize again, I said this earlier, none of you are put on this planet. None of you are born average. None of you are born to just get by, to make ends meet, right? You are here to thrive and to contribute with your talents, with your passion, and make a difference in this world. And this exercise hopefully will give you some insights on how to do that. Again, one of the tips that I consistently gave today was reaching out to an admissions counselor at a college. So if creativity is in one of those 4 buckets for you, right? If you love creating, or you feel the world needs your special creativity, your characters, your creative ideas, or something you're really good at, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk with you and help you figure out what your Ikigai is. And hopefully after watching this, you all go out and live your purpose. I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. If there are any questions, I'll make sure to answer those. I'll DM you the answer to those questions, and make sure to check back the coming weeks, because I'm always doing Instagram lives with alumni and presentations and more to make sure that you are getting the information you need. Everyone have a great night, be safe, and stay well. Bye-bye.